Okay.
Thanks everyone for your patience, by the way. I'll make it worth it.
Are we ready? Okay.
Alrighty. You've all seen it. Some of you see it every day. Some of you see it on friends or your family every day. Some people call it mutilation and think it's a mark of a criminal or an outcast. Yet others people find that it's a great form of self-expression and release. What is this? Keep going.
Sorry.
Body modification is the deliberate altering of the body for non-medical reasons. Two of the most common forms are tattooing and piercing. And I'm not here to persuade anybody to go run out and get a face tattoo. I understand that not everybody's a fan, and that's totally cool. But I'd like to fill you in on a little bit about my life. And today, as I said, I'd like to focus on tattoos and piercings. Let's start by focusing on tattoos. What are tattoos? Tattooing is an ancient process that involves inserting ink into skin. It's been around for over 5,000 years. I found out, that kind of blew my mind. They found a mummy. It's 5,000 years old, has a bunch of tattoos. The most common form of tattooing today involves an electrically charged tattoo machine that punctures the skin anywhere between 50 and 30,000 times a minute. Kind of blew my mind as well. And here is the little diagram there. It's really complex, but all you need to know is that it has a little motor in it. It's kind of like a sewing machine. That's really scary, but it's not that bad. Ink is seen through the epidermis, which is the outer layer of the skin, but the ink is actually inserted into the dermis, which is the second layer. The cells are much more stable, so that's why they last forever, because otherwise they would just disappear, like every time your skin flakes or something like that. Thank you. Tattoos are rapidly rising in popularity. Like I said, they've been around for quite a while, but today's society, at least 1 in 4 18 to 50-year-olds are tattooed. That's approximately 40 million people. And that was found in the Journal of American Academy of Dermatology. Yet despite these staggering numbers, there are still a lot of negative associations with people with tattoos. People think criminal, drug addict, you know. Personally speaking, I work in retail, so I deal with the public every day, and sometimes I get glares or looks of disgust. I've had professors kind of look at me like I was a weirdo, and that makes me feel bad, but it's all part of the territory, so you just try and, you know, rise above it. Tattoo regret is also a very common thing. Tattoo removal, is rapidly rising in popularity thanks to laser technology. And a report by the Food and Drug Administration conducted a poll in which 17% of tattooed people regret at least one of their tattoos. Now, laser tattoo removal is a relatively new phenomenon that involves burning the tattoo out the skin. It's a lot more painful, takes a long time, and it's a lot of money. So if you don't want to get something, you should probably just make up your mind. Alright. Tattooing is dangerous and should be regarded with great care and caution before you do it. Some common risks include allergic reaction, skin infections, loss of color, heavy scarring, but the most obviously important is the bloodborne diseases such as hepatitis A and C, HIV, and tetanus, which is definitely scary things you want to make sure that you're not doing out of your basement, you know, that type of thing. Now that we've discussed some defining features of tattoos, let's move on to piercings. Thanks. Piercing is the act of puncturing and cutting of the body, mostly with the intent of inserting jewelry. Piercings are more common than tattoos, as this Pew Research Center report shows that 30% of 18 to 25-year-olds have at least one piercing other than earlobe sites, and I kind of came up with the hypothesis that people think that piercings aren't permanent, so that's why there's more people that get it, spring break dare, you go get your belly button pierced or something silly like that. But there are a lot of risks with piercings that I will talk about later. Some of the risks include allergic reaction, scarring, infection, nerve damage, heavy bleeding, and just a side note, a bummer is that you can't donate blood for a full year after you get a piercing. So in high school they had all the blood drives and I wasn't able to get blood, and I felt like a sad, non-giving person. But the most serious risk of piercing is the rejection factor, because if it does reject, it will push the piercing out and leave you with a scar, and that is permanent, so it should be very, very cautious with that. My purpose today has been to show you all a brief overview of body modification. The two practices that we talked about the most is tattooing, the insertion of ink in the skin, and piercing, the act of puncturing or cutting the body, mostly with the intent of inserting jewelry. As Henry David Thoreau stated in Walden, we're all sculptors and painters, and our material is our flesh and blood and bone.